Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Off the Cuff. I believe this is episode 16. Just back in the reins once again, just doing a single topic. I'm not going to do the whole half hour of multiple things or whatever. Now, I wanted to talk about UKIP. I'm a staunch supporter of UKIP. I believe in their policies, I believe in what they do, but I'm not a blind supporter. I am trying very hard not to just rely on my willpower to keep the party going well. So I cannot deny that UKIP is suffering. Looking at the face of it, UKIP is not doing well. Now, it all started, I think, around the time of the Brexit Betrayal March last year, when Gerard Batten started working with Tommy Robinson, which I was so impressed by because, Tommy Robinson getting support from a leader of a political party. It was great to see. And so obviously shortly after that, I think late November, Nigel Farage came out against UKIP. And that came out of nowhere. He'd been separate from the party for like 2 years since Brexit. And, he claims he made the decision with a heavy heart. He quit UKIP. He slammed Gerard Batten. And since then, we've had other big names in UKIP just kind of leaving, saying, they were getting out because they disagree with something that's going on. And now I'm going to say without any doubt on my own part, every single time they've all just been talking rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Yes, that's kind of my opinion. But a great example is you've got here, I'm going to give an example. So Nigel Farage said on LBC, he said, over the course of the last few months, he seems to be pretty obsessed with Islam. UKIP wasn't founded to be a party based on fighting a religious crusade. And he went on to say, he's also obsessed with this figure called Tommy Robinson, who is seen by some to be the great hero standing up and fighting for working class people, but who has also a pretty suspect record, and who brings with him a group of people amongst which we see scuffles, violence, many of criminal records, some pretty serious. Now, later on, I think Nigel Farage, I'm going to paraphrase here, Nigel Farage was saying how he knows what the Brexit Betrayal March is going to be, with his divination. He could understand that what it would be is tattooed thugs going down drunk or whatever, going and causing fights and violence and all sorts. Now I knew when I heard that, I was like, that's a load of rubbish. You're just talking out your ass. Okay, you don't know what you're talking about. And the reason I knew that is because I knew some of the people who were going, and I went myself. The Brexit Betrayal March was largely peaceful. The only fights that broke out on that day were on the opposition side, fighting against the police. And I am definitely not a tattooed skinhead thug, and I don't drink, so I already knew that was going to be false. But since then, Nigel Farage has been, had it out for UKIP. He brought out his Brexit party that's now grown to some fame, and it's been kind of awful, really. But it was quite clear to me at the time that Nigel Farage was not doing this. He was doing this for one of two reasons. Either one, he is deluded and he believes what he's saying, or two, he's just looking for an excuse to get out of the party that he can no longer lead. I don't know which one of those it is, but I can't see any other. Because I know that what he was saying is not true. I know that the only reason Gerard Batten has mentioned Islam so many times is because the media keep asking him about what he said about Islam. You say something once and then it becomes the thing that the media just go after. Which, now just jumping ahead, we've seen with Carl Benjamin and his tweet against Jess Phillips. We've seen that just come up again and again and again, and it's like, oh, he's obsessed with it. No, he's not. Why don't you ask him about something else? Then we could see whether or not he's obsessed with it. Now, I wasn't too worried when Nigel Farage said that. I was like, okay, well, he's obviously had nothing to do with the party. But I became a little more concerned when David Curtin, I think it was not even a week later, before the day before, I think, the Brexit Betrayal March. Or no, a few days before the Brexit Betrayal March, David Curtin resigned as UKIP's education spokesman. And he cited the exact same things Nigel Farage had. He was saying, I don't like our association with Tommy Robinson. I know the Brexit Betrayal March is going to end up being this violent, street march. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, David Curtin, you are talking at your bloody ass. I have some respect. I spoke to him at the YI conference last year, and we talked about home education, which is something I care a lot about. And, he said that UKIP believes that the parents have the sovereign right, sovereign duty to raise their children, not the government. And I respected that. But, yeah, his reasons were absolutely rubbish. Now, initially I thought, okay, that's kind of bad. That's really bad. He's left the party. Although I recently found out that David Curtin did the same thing under Henry Bolton. He said UKIP should be flying, but it won't under Henry Bolton. And he stepped down as UKIP's education spokesman 22nd of January, before Jared Batten was elected. So it sounds like he's just using it as his way of rebelling against the UKIP leadership. So, yeah, I was kind of not happy to see David Curtin resign. And now, in between David Curtin and now, there's been all sorts of other resignations. It's been kind of awful, really, because I've been hearing about about various branches losing quite a few of their leadership, their chairman and such. And with Carl Benjamin's being brought in as an MEP, everything's just been kicked to 11. It's just gone crazy. And I mean, I support Carl Benjamin. I don't care about his tweet. It was so long ago. It's so stupid to bring it up. His video that he did more recently was clearly a joke. But just getting past all that, Carl has done brilliantly with his campaign. I don't know how well he'll do. We'll have to see. But he has done the one thing that I would say to every politician you must never do. Do not bow to the media. You can bow to your members. You can bow to maybe your constituents if you're representing them. But you do not bow to the media. Because the media is there to report facts, not to morally grandstand their own stupid point of view. Especially when they're all coming from the Westminster bubble. So, yeah, frankly, I'm so glad that Carl didn't bow down. I'm so glad that Batten didn't bow down. But there's one person who did bow. And that was Mike Hookham. Mike Hookham said that he believed that Batten and Benjamin are wrong and they must apologize. So it came as no surprise when just right after the MEP election, but before the results were announced, which I do have some respect for that timing, Mike Hookham announced that he is resigning as deputy leader of UKIP. And he's gonna stand as leader against Batten if Batten stands again. So that's the whole thing, is Batten stepping down as well. I hope, I'm really wanting Batten to stand as a leader again. So once again, Hookham hit and a miss with his reasoning. He said here, I believe UKIP always has been and always should be a libertarian party. Now, they're not completely a libertarian party, but fair enough. That encourages and promotes common sense policies with a broad election appeal. And later on says, however, under Mr. Batten's leadership and despite my appeals, UKIP has been derailed from its objective. Now, Hookham made absolutely no attempt, apparently, to explain how that objective has been derailed. The reason I joined UKIP late last year, and I've now still I'm looking to get more and more involved with UKIP, is because of their policies. Because their policies are still common sense. They still have, in my opinion, a broad electoral appeal, and they're still very much, I guess you could say, libertarian. They're about, freedom of the individual, about liberty. For the most part, not all their policies. I think they have some other policies that aren't exactly libertarian. So he hasn't given any evidence on how they've been derailed. He doesn't. The only evidence he gives, I believe, I'm trying to use Kipper Central as my source here because Kipper Central is, it's the UKIP newspaper, news outlet or whatever. So I kind of thought well, they'll be pro UKIP. So I thought that's a good way. If I'm going to talk about UKIP's problems, I'd rather have a pro UKIP piece to talk about it. But here you go. So he said that I believe UKIP has always been and always should be a libertarian party. Then he said about how they've been derailed. And then he went on to say, Mr. Batten's policy direction and associations have given the mainstream media the ammunition to label our party extreme and far right. Accusations I do not believe to be true. So that's the only thing he said there. That's the only thing he said about to give him credence to what he's said. That Batten's derailed the objective, and apparently the policy direction associations have given the mainstream media ammunition. Now he's right, they have given ammunition, but that's not evidence of them derailing their objective. It's not at all. And I reckon what Mike Hookham probably just has a problem with the anti-Islam policies. The policies that are worried about Islamic extremism, which is correct. You got to worry about major concerns that people have. So that's why Tommy Robinson is doing so bloody well. And if Tommy Robinson wins in the Northeast, then Mike Hookham would have been proven absolutely wrong. But I'm concerned because with all that going on, Hookham resigning, Curtin stepping down, and Nigel Farage backstabbing the party, there are definitely concerns to be had, things to be worried about, because you can't just blindly go on and say, we'll be fine, just because your policies are right. You need a strategy, you need a way out. That's my plan. I'm trying to think about this in my hand. But I think that there's definitely concerns to be had here. And with Mike Hookham resigning, for my opinion, no actual reason, or at least not making that clear, yeah, I think that UKIP's got a major problem on its hands, and we're going to have to figure out how to deal with it. But just marching on forwards as if nothing's happened is not the way to go. Anyway, so that's all from me. I'll be back in a while with another off-the-cuff episode. If you want to subscribe, go ahead. I don't really mind if you do or don't. It's always appreciated, but, who cares? Well, I care. But if you're enjoying the stuff, let me know. Do comment. I much prefer the comments because I like to know whether I've hit the mark or I've missed the mark. So do let me know. Anyway, till next time.